Hello dear students, I hope you are fit and fine and I also hope that you are doing well at your home. Now, today's lesson is depending upon the theory of your own and my everyone who is a citizen of India and the citizen of other nation also, their rights, rules, regulations and constitutional remedies too here. Now, in this lecture, we'll also study about the basic and the primitive things which is related with the constitution. Now, the name constitution has been also introduced by me or any one of the teacher remembering to you or nearby to you in the previous lecture of the previous standard also, like in the 8th standard there's a lesson framing of the constitution, and in the 9th standard it is the 8th lesson here, and the 9th lesson which I am teaching you right now, that is also about the principal duties and regarding constitution remedies and many more kinds of things also. So if you go more further, this lesson is depending upon the theory of the, we can say, fundamental rights, duties, principles of the state policy also. You can see the board behind me, and the topic which we are going to take today in this lecture is depending upon the theories of importance of constitution, its character of the constitution, which is introduction. Then we'll move towards the other features also, like we can say the human rights, or we can say fundamental rights also. Fundamental rights consisting rights of equality, freedom, then education, secularism, many more kinds of things also there. So we will start this chapter today not only to learn on this day of our 15th August, that is the Independence Day, and I also wish you a very happy Independence Day to you all and your family also here. Be supportive towards your nation and take pride being an Indian. So moving further in the text here, if you talk about the introduction, so in the previous chapter we have learnt about the introduction about the constitution, salient features and the duties too here. Now see my dear student, this lesson is quite very easy and quite very tricky also, because if you're not understanding the basic theories and detail about this lesson, obviously you're not going to understand your own rights, your own principal duties and also your fundamental rules and regulations here. So let's start the lesson. Page number 65 you can see over the board, and 66, that is the part number 1st standard 9th English medium SS. So in this chapter we can say that introduction says that in the previous chapter we have studied about the Indian Constitution, preamble, importance of the preamble, pillars of the preamble, salient features, specific characters and many more kind of things also. So today we'll study about the important characteristics of the Constitution, which is actually written behind me on the display board here, and also we'll study about the fundamental rights, fundamental duties, directive principles and all here. So if you go on the first level, human right, let's talk about the human right. Now what is human right? Let me define you. Every human is getting a birth, and by birth there are some kinds of rules, regulations and rights also that he has to obtain, he has to follow, he has to also give that to the other also. So we can say that human rights are those rights which are not limited, we can say, which are not given to a person. He is actually taking birth with that kind of rights here. And same as we can say that it is optimistic rules and regulation of every country, or we can say any country, that anyone is getting birth there, any child is getting birth there, he is liable to obtain his all the human rights according to the secular government, according to the democratic government or whatever the government is there. So therefore we can say that it is also helping to construct the environment which enables his or her own growth of the society, his own family, his own rights, rules and regulations here. So we all are having our human rights. And same as if you go more further, every democratic country, every democratic citizen are confirmed with the basic rights here. Now what are the basic rights of the human beings? Basic needs of the human beings and the rights, we can say food, clothes, dwelling, shelter, education. Okay, once again I'll say food, clothes, dwelling, okay, shelter and the education. So these are the basic means the basic ground zero human rights. And same as if you can say that a person is not discriminated on the basis of caste, creed, color, height, weight, body, okay, which religion is following, which kind of area he is coming from, everything is there, because the society of the nation is for everyone, everybody, and everyone is protected in his own nation in every part of the zone. Like for example, if I take the example of India, India is the zone of Indian people. So Indian people can go, they can buy their houses, they can establish their business legally, they can go for the education in India everywhere, and there is no any kind of prohibition among over that kind of people here. So this lesson is all about depending upon the theory of that same kind of basic human rights. And if you go more further, United Nations General Assembly has also declared that Human Rights Day from the 10th of the December 1948 it was declared, and somehow we can say 10th December today also we are celebrating the Human Rights Day. You should remember that kind of date also. I'll write out here and then you can focus on the date because you might be forgetting. 10th December, the Human Rights Day. Always celebrate your human rights, and also you should know about what are your human rights, because you are a human and you need some kinds of rights in India. That's a very simple basic theory about the human rights. Now from the global announcement of the human rights, if we talk about certain basic and important human rights are also, we can say, protected. They are under the constitutional framing, you can say, rules and regulations here, in which we can say that Constitution of India, it is also labeled to follow and to focus and to just promote the human rights, because we can say if they are protected, then only the one's life who is the Indian people can be living his life dignifiedly. And same as we can say, thus human rights is included policy of the constitution in India, which is also known as the fundamental rights too. Here means the human right is a protected theory of the constitution that is actually protected in our fundamental rights too, constitution and basic things also. So these are the basic thing about the human right that you should know about every detailed theory too here. Now after the human rights, what are the fundamental rights? Okay, equality policies of a state government, central government and the other government too here. So basically we can say that the nation's stability, the stability is not only the basic thing which we did in the lesson, okay, more than the stability, we can say that the protection of the citizen, freedom of them, okay, democracy are protected under fundamental rights here. Now they are basically divided into 6 categories. Okay, how many categories? 6 categories. So they are actually belonging into the 6 categories that you need to remember here. Fundamental duties. Now what are they? I'll start from here. Right to equality, okay, then right to freedom, right against the exploitation. If you're exploited, then you have to right for the asking the justice for that here. Then right to freedom of religion, you can obtain your own religion, you can celebrate your own festival, fair, anything, okay, according to the norms and conditions. And also cultural educational rights. If you are a Muslim, if you want to go to the madrasa, you are able to go. If you are a Hindu, if you want to go to school, you are able to go. If a Muslim boy is coming to the school to get the education, then he is also able to go to the education. Nobody can discriminate her or him. So that is how we can say that these kinds of human rights are protected educationally also. And 6th, which is last but not the least here, which we can say that right for the constitutional remedies, including constitution, the remedies and the human rights are also protected there. So therefore we can say right for the equality before the law, and law included rights, then rights to the equality, then fundamental major foundation of all the rights and privilege guaranteed to the Indian citizens are also given there. Privileged people means what, my dear student? Privileged people means the people who are actually somehow not progressed well and they need some kinds of progressions. So the government has taken out some kinds of field sector and some kinds of provisions for them, for the privileged people, and therefore they can be also focused out here in this fundamental rights, rules and regulations. In India, we live in India, maximum kind of caste are there, languages are spoken, areas are there, so we are different in the category. But if you talk about the country, then we can say that are all the duties, principles, state policy, the directive principle, fundamental duties, everything is equal. Everything is equal. So we can say that we are protected under the fundamental right, rules, regulations, duties, principles and secularism too here. So this is not only the it here, we can say that how India is an easy access to the, somehow we can say, to the courts of his or her rights and regulations for the people. India has an easy access. It means that whenever, wherever any important, any privileged people, any kind of person is actually being exploited, discriminated, then he or she can go directly towards the court here. And therefore we can say that according to the rights, no person shall be shown favoritism based of caste, color, creed and zone, area or any kind of thing. It means that no people should be, judge should not give any kind of favorism. Favorism means what? Judge could not do the judgment directly in the favor of any person just because he is closer to him by the caste, or just because he is hating the other one he will give the punishment. No, that's why we can say that judicially is impartial. Judiciary is impartial, it is not partial, and therefore we do the judgment in India on the basis of truth, on the basis of evidence, and on the basis of the loyalty here. So we can say that however somehow we need to understand from the peon to the prime minister, they all are act against the law only. They are actually needing to go under the law, from the peon to the prime minister. It means that from the general common man towards the supreme person of the nation here, they all have to obey. So they are treated equally at the bound of the general court of the law. And however the president and the governors are certain privileged here. Government and somehow we can say governors or this president are having some kinds of different their own category of the judgment. So they can be somehow taken specially because they are actually the very high authority of any state or the nation to here. So we can say in each the circumstances, the law should be privileged equally. Any kind of circumstances are there, but the law should be privileged equally. If the law is not going equally, then there will be a mistake. So therefore we need to go and understand that the law should be going equally. And after that, if we talk about however the state and the rights to take any arrangement for the women, children, or the development of a society is depending on the educationally we can say to the central government and the state government, where we can say that the state public service and the equal opportunities are given to the everyone belonging to any of the state here. And it is also that citizen, however the state is given permission to make decisions regarding their own qualifications, state policies and service also. So if you talk about the state policy, see, two kinds of governments are working there. How many kinds of governments? Two kinds of governments are there. One is the central government and one is the state government. Now in the central government, if the government is actually accessing some kinds of government jobs and many more kinds of things, same as the central government, apart from that, state government could be also accessing this kinds of fundamental freedoms for the people of its own state, and state government can also select the governmental jobs and vacancies for the student, for the applicant according to the state wise. So that is also actually a different kind of policy given inside the rules and regulations of the constitution. It means that if you are living in the Gujarat, you are able to apply the central government job also, as well you are able to apply the Gujarat government job also. So these are the basic things that we need to understand. However, the state policy and the rights are made on the basis of progress of the employment, progress of the development, progress of the society development, build up area, progress of the hospitals, and many more kinds of things also. So we can say that government jobs are also given to the higher educated people just by the verification of that kind of genuine person, or by taking some of the exams to here state wise or the center wise. So this is the fundamental rights and duties. Now what is guarantee? So if we talk about the guarantee, as a guarantee to the social justice, personal dignity, untouchability, and abolishment of the pradhas, it means that any kind of any kind of sati system, child killing act, like girl child were killed in the ancient time, like Rajaram Mohan Roy stopped that kind of thing by the help of William Bentinck and all. So if that kind of things are still running inside the today's area, then there is a punishable act. Now the punishable act is also for that person should not, or the society should not start that kind of thing once again. Even the dowry, the Dahej Pratha is also coming inside the punishable act. If you found anybody taking dowry or giving dowry, you can call to the police officers, they will come there. Because if you are liable to give dowry, you are actually promoting the dowry system, and the other will be also learning something by that here. So that should be also stopped here. Now we can say titles and epithets, or we can say the titles or epithets which create artificial discrimination is also somehow it is also somehow removed from the area here. It means that some titles were there, okay, in the ancient time, they were creating some kinds of levels. So that kind of titling things are also being removed here, and we can see the adjectives are used, like the name of Sir, then Diwanji, Rai Bahadur are also, we can see that, used out here. In the ancient time, Subedar, in the ancient time Zamindars, in the ancient time Raja, and all these kinds of titles were used. But today it is not like that, and today we use Sir, then we use like Diwanji, we use like somehow we can say Rai Bahadur, or somehow names were somehow used today also, but somehow they are also removed out here. So we can say after the independence, government, in the order to facilitate the special contribution, government is also thinking about the special contribution towards the people. Why? Because they can achieve individual factor, individual vicious duty factor here. So therefore we can say they are given special awards like somehow Bharat Ratna, then Padma Vibhushan, then Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, then Paramvir Chakra, and many more kinds of awards are given to the people who are actually relating to the Indian zone or Indian any kind of good things of the strategy, also as well the Indian we can say Indian related economical business too here, because it is actually promoting them their own working ability, their inspiration also. So the India is also promoting these kinds of people who are actually related with the basic things of the promotion of nation, like cricketers are there, writers are there, politicians are there, then some kinds of artistic people are there who are doing some kinds of artistic world theories, writing documentaries and all, many more kinds of things are there. So we can say that India is actually working on that also. So the adjectives like general, major, chief marshal, field marshal are added before the names, like the military services. In the military, see, in the military it is not like that you will call anybody by the surname, no, they are having the post. Okay, so surname is actually discriminating. I'll give you one of the example. In the school, what is happening, my dear student? In the school actually we need to understand that when all the students are sitting together in the school, they are wearing the same uniform. Why? Because all the students are not coming from the same category of the house. They might be not having the new dresses, new clothes, gold chain like the other students are coming there, so they can be discriminated in the class. Therefore the school management especially is focusing that one student will be wearing one uniform and the same student all will be will be wearing the same color of the uniform. Nobody will be discriminated here. Same as we can say in the army post also, in the air force post also, in the governmental post also, they have added some kinds of rules, regulations about the names removal policy, and they added some kinds of post added policy here, where we can say they added some kinds of adjective like general, then they added major, chief marshal, field marshal are added before the name in the military service today also, according to their post. So which is not considered as the violence, equality towards the right and regulation here, which is accepted as per the constitution. So we can say that the aim of rights, of the aim of from equality society, equitable society, and establishing a rule, a law equal in India can be seen here by these kinds of rules and regulations. If you are actually calling anybody by surname, it means you are trying to discriminate him. Or we can say that if you are calling, if you are actually using your surname in front of any person who is actually from the backward caste, from not the developed area of the caste, we can say that, then you are actually trying to discriminate that person. That's why the post name are given, not a title names are given inside some kinds of area of the academy also. So to provide the special difference types of the groups of the classes, there can be different types of provisions also under the law. Now for example, there are different law for the advocate, doctor, teacher, okay, then insurance agencies, women, juvenile custodies, and somehow we can say that these all the things are related under the jurisdiction of the constitution. So the principle of equal pay, equal work is also part of this article here. It means that in the working academy of a doctor, in the working academy of a teacher, in the working academy of an insurance officer, in the working academy of a juvenile custody women, most of the time we can say that all are getting the same pay. See, don't be confused. Same pay means what? Same pay scale means it is not like a doctor will be getting same salary as a teacher. No. In the teacher group, if the men and women are working, then they both are able to get the same salary if they are working at the same place at the same position. Means the caste discrimination is not given there, the gender discrimination is not there. It means that you will not provide any higher salary to the people who are coming from male gender and the people who are coming from the female gender, lower salary. That is how we can say that this is one of the basic factor about the fundamental rights, rules, regulations, and directive principles too here. Now my dear students, if we move further about the right for the freedom. Now what is freedom? As you know that today is 15th of the August, and that's why we are celebrating our Freedom Day. It means that Independence Day. Independence Day. Now we are independent. Okay, so therefore we can say that the Constitution of India provides, you need to focus on the point number 2, right of the freedom, or we can say right to the freedom. So the Constitution of India provides the citizen the 6 freedom basic rights and rules. Now freedom of speech, you are free to give your speech whatever you like to say. If it is wrong, then you can justify your thought by the right speech here. You are having the freedom for the speech too here. Apart from that, we can say that to assemble peacefully, any kind of assembly towards the nation, peacefully. Means if you want to assemble any kind of law, any kind of society, any kind of constitution, any kind of institution, any kind of we can say any kind of area or any kind of meeting, then without any kind of arms you can actually go and you can establish that also. Means no use of arm. We work on the disarmament policy too here. Then the third one says that whenever we are actually associating with the union, we need to come closer and we need to become united. Means we need to come, you can say, in the unity. Whenever we are building up a society, a institute, a moral ethic values related to that kind of department, then we need to work together here. So that is the third point. And the fourth point says that to move freely throughout the territory of India. As I said you in the starting of my lecture, that you can move freely in the part of India. There is nothing which can stop you out here. So that's also one of the part of the basic thing here. And reside in the any part of the India, you can make your own house, establish a business, is also one of the fifth part of the fundamental rights. And same as we can say rights to the freedom, as well as you can carry your professions, you can carry your whatever job working ability is there. Like I'm a teacher, I'm working in the Gujarat, though I belong to the other part of this India nation, we can say other part of this state, then also I am teaching here because I am actually having this kinds of freedom. So we can say that you can get a job, you can get a house, you can speak your language, you can eat your food, you can celebrate your festival, fair, and also you can wear your dresses according to your custom, according to your religion, according to your worship mythology too here, and nobody is gonna make you stop here. So that's the basic, last but not the least, the sixth part of the freedom of right here. So we can say these kinds of rights are utmost important to the overall development of a personally to the people here experiencing in the Indian citizenship of the India. Means these kinds of rights you are observing, I am observing, we all are obtaining, we all are enjoying, and we all are living with that here. So we can say that these kinds of general basic things are related with these kinds of theories of the constitution, assembly, fundamental rights, rules, regulations, directive principles too here. So verbally we can say that we can understand these kinds of things. Now if you go more further, for the harmonious working of the democracy and the healthy lifestyle of the Indian people, any individual cannot exercise these freedom autonomously or irresponsibly. It means that you are liable to celebrate your freedom, means you are liable to live your life dignifiedly, okay, but you are not liable to disturb anyone by your freedom. If I ask you that what is freedom according to you, what you will answer me? Can you imagine what you will answer me, my dear students? Actually you have to answer, the right answer for the freedom is that when our freedom is not disturbing anyone's freedom, it is actually the right meaning of the freedom. It means that when you don't disturb anyone by your freedom, तुम्हें आज़ादी मिली है देश में रहने की, अपना नाम जीने का, अपना घर बनाने का कहीं भी, लेकिन वो किसी और के एरिया में ना आता हो, वो किसी और को डिस्टर्ब ना करता हो. दैट इज़ एक्चुअली द मीनिंग ऑफ फ्रीडम. सो द फ्रीडम इज़ अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ लिविंग योर लाइफ एंड नॉट डिस्टर्बिंग द अदर लाइफ. So we can say that that is the basic things related to society, state control, government, and the policies too here. So the state can control the limit in the rights of freedom if they are going against the welfare. State is having the power to control some people freedom, anyone's freedom, if they are going against the rules, regulation, and rights also. It means that if they are going against the law, and therefore we can say that they can make the peaceful society after doing this kinds of thing. So it has been clearly mentioned inside the constitution that India is a state where the constitution are exercised well by the people, its rules are implemented on the people, where we believe that Satyamev Jayate. It means always the truth is winning here. And we also believe constitutionally that Vasudev Kutumbakam, whole world is our family. So that is the basic feature of the constitution, and that we need to understand, my dear students here. So we can say that this is the basic thing which I am making you understand. Now if I go more further, according to this constitution, so if we talk about the 2009, see in the constitution, public management, foreign policy, amiable government, then limitations have been also seen here, some of the part of area, and then we can say violence, crime, or we can say any kind of cringe kind of things are stopped here, they are not obeyed here. And same as we can say, it is the authority of the jurisdiction or the judiciary that whether the many limitations are appropriate or inappropriate, so which can be distinguished between which kind of rules are good for the people, which kind of rules can be updated for the people, is also one of the duty of the Indian Constitution jurisdiction. And same as the purpose behind this is to actually give freedom to the press through which ideas, concept, fourth to the public welfare can be seen separately, which is mentioned also. So it can be including right to the expression also. Like if you talk about the media, if you talk about the today's media, the media are having some kinds of powers to express their feelings, what they think about any kind of work of a government, any kind of relative theory of any murder cases or any kind of other things to here, they are free. So we can say that government is actually giving this kinds of basic thing here. So this was the basic thing related to the government, constitution, freedom, people and the thoughts of India. If you go more in the detail, then we will remember the 2009. Now what is according to the 2009, my dear student, the free education, don't forget that here. We can say that the Constitution India confers that the free and compulsory education must be given to the children from 6 to 14-year-old age. Yani ki 6 to 14-year age students should be getting the free education. Along with that, we can say that it is also prescribed that against the law and which cannot be somehow we can say sentenced to a student that he or she cannot be getting admission on the basis of caste, creed, his sex or race or any kind of we can say language also. He or she is liable to get education in any part of the country if they are citizen of that country and in any part of the nation too here. So that's why we can say that it's a general theory related to the constitution, and if anyone is actually not sending their kids for the school, or if any kid is actually working under the child labor policy, then the owner should be punished under the punishable act and he or she could be going under the jail too. So students, you are actually having some kinds of basic benefits, and which is also known as 2009 right for the education, or you can say right to education, RTE. And therefore we can say it is also prescribed under the law, and no one can be somehow we can say no one can describe this as a wrong theory of the motion. So if you go more further, we can say that it is also prescribed and it cannot be punished under the jurisdiction to a child. We can only punish the owner who are keeping the child under the working area, though they are underage. So child labor is also we are not supported here, and somehow we can say that no one can be arrested without being tested or being told, we can say that, on the ground for the arrest search warrant also. If anybody found victim, then we need to take some kinds of we can say that action against that kind of person, but we need to give some kinds of arrest warrant to here, then only we can arrest any person. And we can say that a arrested person can be having his or her own choice of the advocate to advocate his case also, to get his lawyer. So he and she, both the people, the criminal and we can say the offensive lawyer and the defensive lawyer are there, they both are liable to save the person of their own choice. So the judge will do the judgment only impartially, means the judge will not come under pressure of money, power, influence, post or any kind of thing. He will do the judgment very loyalfully. So we can say that no one can be arrested also, as I said you, before the ground of the arrest here. And if arrested, the person has right to select his or her own person who can advocate his case. An arrested person has been brought before the nearest magistrate within 24 hours. Now if an arrested person is there, then he should be presented in front of magistrate. The magistrate will decide that whether this person's case should be forwarded out or it should be closed and shut down there. So these are the basic thing, and we can say that then only he can be kept under the custody. Now if we talk about the female members, we can say that no any female can be arrested after the evening time of the 6 p.m. and if they are arrested too, here they are unable to keep inside the jail, inside the cell. It is not possible to kept. Furthermore, any female is not being arrested. She cannot be arrested by the male officers. She will be needing only the female officers to arrest that kind of person. So that's how we can say that we are having some kinds of rules, regulations, primitive descriptions also in this lifestyle of the constitution here. So the person under the arrest will not be applicable to arrest the matter here. So that's why we can say that preventive detentions are also there in these kinds of theories. Now, what is preventive decisions? Let me define you. See, students, you must listen this lecture very carefully, and I hope that you are understanding to hear this lecture. See, if the state anticipates any criminal or deed activity for any person, then a precautionary, or we can say precautionary measures, that person can be denied for the state, and the Primitive Detention Act can be also seen there. So the purpose of this act is not to punish the convict, but to stop him doing the criminal activities against the society, state and policies also. Under this act, we can say that a person can be somehow detained not more than 3 months here. So the detention order can be cancelled also on the basis of the basic theory, opinion of the judge and Supreme Court members, advisory board too here, as well as we can say that it is also decided furthermore for the detention. It means that if a person has found guilty doing some kinds of dangerous job in his own state, then he and she should be detained at least for the 3 months after the case study of him here, and no one state is liable to give any kind of death punishment directly towards the person who is actually relating with any crime here. That is actually the work of the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court will furthermore think to detain more that person or less that person, or to study that kind of person also, which is also a part of the membership of the court jurisdiction. So my dear student, this lecture is still here only. I hope you understood the lecture, and the lesson is quite lengthy, so I am trying to cover most of the topics here. And in this theory, if I am making you to understand by this kinds of language of English, then you need to clearly listen this lecture. Also use headphones whenever you are listening my lecture. It will make you connect with my pure sound of the lecture and disconnect with the outer noise of the world here. We'll meet soon together in the next part of this lecture. This lecture is remaining, my dear student. This is the part number 1, lesson number 9, standard 9th, fundamental rights, rules, duties, principles of the state and policies. Till then, you're going to take care. Today is Independence Day. I wish you once again a very happy Independence Day. Be happy and take pride being an Indian. Support nation India. Jai Hind.